You know, we have a new category of crime. It's called migrant crime. It was brought to you by the worst president in the history of our country, Joe Biden, sometimes referred to as crooked Joe Biden. He's crooked as a $3 bill. In Venezuela, crime is down. I'm sure you're going to be very happy to hear this. Crime is down in Venezuela by 67% because they're taking their gangs and their criminals and depositing them very nicely into the United States. Aren't you happy? Think of it. Who goes down 67%? They went down. Look at this man. I call him the Wall. He's got the nicest suit. I want to get one of those suits. We built a lot of wall. We had the best numbers ever. We're going to put them up here. I think we're going to put them up pretty soon. You're going to see something that just came out that's incredible. But think of it. Venezuela, which was that was an enemy when I left, an enemy, and they were ready to fold. Now they're supplying us with oil. I wouldn't have even thought to buy oil from them. But more importantly, their crime rate is down to it's down by 67%. And the reason is they've taken their gangs and their criminals and they brought them into the United States. Oh, wait till you see next year. Pretty soon they'll be at no crime, zero crime in the entire country of Venezuela, the beautiful country of Venezuela. In fact, we'll be going to Venezuela for vacations. Yeah, it's built a lot of it. They're sending prisoners, murderers, drug dealers, mental patients, terrorists. The worst of every country is coming into our country now. They're coming from the Congo, Yemen, Somalia, Syria, all over the world. They're coming. They're country changing, country threatening, and they're country wrecking. They're destroying our country. They're destroying, you know, we can drill and we can get the oil going, but this is a tough one. We're going to end up with the largest deportation in American history. We have no choice. Have no choice, right? Have no choice. We have no choice because that's not sustainable by any country. Last week in Grand Rapids, a previously deported illegal alien criminal with multiple prior arrests, many arrests, for drunk driving, breaking into houses, and probation violations, was charged with savagely murdering 25-year-old Ruby Garcia. Beautiful, perfect, beautiful, wonderful young girl, shooting her repeatedly with an illegally purchased handgun and dumping her body on the side of a highway to die. Under the Trump administration, we deported this monster. Long ago, we deported him, but under crooked Joe Biden, he was allowed to trespass back into our country and kill beautiful Ruby. Last week, because we had the strongest border and the safest border in the history of our country, and now we have the worst border in the history anywhere in the world. We have the worst border. Last week, another illegal alien criminal was arrested in Alabama for raping a mentally incapacitated 14-year-old girl. And in Chicago recently, an illegal alien gang member who was released into our country by crooked Joe Biden was arrested for a drive-by shooting that left a 27-year-old woman riddled with bullet holes all over her body, died. I'm here tonight to declare that Joe Biden's border bloodbath, remember they used the name bloodbath, I was talking about something entirely different, but this is a border bloodbath, ends the day I take the oath of office. It ends. With your vote, I will seal the border. I will stop the invasion. I will end the carnage, bloodshed, and killing. And we will crush the human traffickers. You know, they traffic in women, mostly in women. We will vanquish the child smugglers. And we will liberate this nation from crooked Joe and his migrant armies of dangerous criminals once and for all. This is an invasion of our country. And by the way, hundreds of thousands of people, between the drugs that come in the border and all of the death that's brought into the border in so many different ways, hundreds of thousands of people are being killed in our country every year. If we had a war with a country like Mexico. We wouldn't lose people like that. This is bigger than a war. Joe Biden is so weak on the border that other countries are now publicly taunting and extorting him by pumping migrants across our wide-open border. They're opening their jails and they're opening their mental institutions, and they're bringing them right in, and nobody stops them. Nobody has any idea what's going on. Just this week, Mexico's president declared that they will keep the flood of illegal aliens pouring in. They're going to pour into our country unless Biden hands over $20 billion a year just to sit down. Do you think he'd say that to me? And I know him. He's a friend of mine. He's a nice man. He's a socialist, but you can't have everything, right? These young guys can't have everything. At least he's not a communist. He's a socialist. Never got to communism, although who knows? That could be next. Look, $20 billion a year they want just to sit down, and he wants it fast, from U.S. taxpayers. Lift sanctions on communist Cuba. That's what he wants to do. So that's the end of the Miami Cuban vote for crooked Joe Biden, I can tell you that. He wants to lift the sanctions on Cuba. I had sanctions in Cuba to a level that they were willing to make a deal at any time. We would have had that election. If that election were a legitimate election, we would have had a deal with Cuba. We wouldn't have had Russia attacking Ukraine, and we would not have had October 7th in Israel. I can guarantee you that. But we will do all that we can and grants. Think of this. They want to grant mass amnesty to millions of illegal aliens all throughout the United States. They want to give a mass amnesty. Other than that, he's doing a great job on immigration, right? This is the worst president in the history of our country. In a certain way, if you remember, I campaigned on the border because the border was bad. But then, what happened in 2020, I couldn't really even mention. I'd say to my people, I want to talk about the border. They say, sir, the border, you fixed it. It's 100% perfect. I want to talk about the border. They said, sir, nobody cares about the border. You fixed it. Well, now the border is 100 times worse than it was in 2016. There's never been a border so bad. There's never been corruption and rape and pillage and loss and people coming in at levels that nobody's ever seen with the people where they're coming from, criminals like never before, just pouring into our country. We have no idea who they are. So when I fixed it in 2016, I believe this could be like 100 times worse. That was a bad border, but that was bad, understandably bad. This is at a level that nobody's ever seen a border like this. We've taken in, I think, at least 15 million people. That's bigger than almost every state. And I think by the time we end, we might almost be, by the time we get this lunatic out of office, how he can like this, by the time we get him out of office, he's going to be at close to 20 million people he will have allowed into our country, mostly unchecked, unvetted. We have no idea who they are, where they came from, but we're going to find out. It's a big problem. When I win, you are all getting tax cuts, and you're getting a brand new Trump economic boom. And that's where we were headed.